What are the worst luxury SUVs that you can buy for 2024? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Help Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. For this video, I'm going to share 10 brand new luxury SUVs that are at the very bottom in terms of reliability, owner satisfaction, and value. According to reputable sources including IC Cars, CarEdge, Consumer Reports, and actual mechanics who work on these cars every day. And before we get into it, remember, if you enjoy and get value out of this video, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications. So let's start this list off with the first SUV, which is the INFINITI QX50. Unfortunately, INFINITI has really fallen quite a bit from its glory days, to the point where they have a fairly underwhelming lineup of cars that don't really sell very well anymore. And the QX50, which is the company's smallest and most affordable SUV, is a great example of why that is. Among luxury SUVs, it has one of the lowest scores when it comes to owner satisfaction, with the majority of owners regretting buying one in the first place. Most of the complaints with the QX50 center around the very outdated technology, a noisy ride, and a noisy, unrefined engine, along with an underperforming CVT. It just doesn't deliver the refinement, luxury, and technology that you would expect for an SUV at this price point. And even though its reputation for reliability is nowhere near as bad as some of the other SUVs on this list, there are a few major concerns. For one thing, it uses a very complicated and unproven variable compression turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, which also comes matched to a CVT, which does have a history of being problematic in a lot of other INFINITI and Nissan models. And because of its reputation and underwhelming performance, the QX50 does not hold its value very well when compared to a lot of other similar SUVs. Owners just want to get rid of them, and used car buyers are staying away from them, which is probably exactly what you should do. And now let's move on to the next SUV on the list, which is the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now, even though it might be debatable whether the Grand Cherokee is really a luxury SUV, it certainly has the price tag of one. They typically now sell in the range of 60 to 80 grand, and earlier this year when I was test driving a brand new Grand Cherokee 4xe, the price tag was pushing almost $90,000, which certainly seems like a luxury price to me. But unfortunately, the Grand Cherokee is fairly underwhelming for its price point, and it really is overpriced for what you're getting. For one thing, it has a rather spotty reputation when it comes to its reliability. Although there certainly have been some happy Grand Cherokee owners, you can find just as many unhappy ones that have had non-stop headaches and reliability concerns. That just seems to be the way of Jeep in general, and not only that, but they can be extremely expensive to repair as well. And even though Jeep has tried to expand the appeal of the Grand Cherokee by introducing a plug-in hybrid version, this one is just as much of a disappointment. The engine and hybrid system are completely unrefined, the electric range is not as good as you would expect, and the fuel economy is a disappointment either. And all for a huge price premium over the regular Grand Cherokee, which is already overpriced to begin with. Which explains why the resale value is so low and why they seem to be piling up on dealer lots. So don't go wasting your money on the Grand Cherokee, because there are much better SUVs out there that would be a much better buy. And now moving on to the next SUV, in the number 8 spot we have the Mercedes GLB. The GLB is another major disappointment with one of the lowest owner satisfaction ratings among luxury SUVs. And that low owner satisfaction has to do with a noisy, unrefined ride, poor ride quality, and also disappointing quality and technology when it comes to the interior. I remember test driving one of these a little while back, and even though the interior does look very nice, all of the technology and controls were so frustrating to use, I just couldn't wait to give it back. And not only that, but the GLB has also experienced a number of reliability concerns, which is really no surprise for Mercedes, which over the past few years has been coming at the very bottom in many different quality studies. Ultimately, it just doesn't have the quality, the refinement, or meet any of the expectations that you would have for an SUV at this price, which, like many other SUVs on this list, is way more than you should be paying in the first place. And now moving on to the next SUV, in the number 7 spot we have the Volvo XC90. It's pretty disappointing having to put the XC90 on this list, because in many ways, it is a very impressive SUV. It has a very comfortable, luxurious interior with plenty of space, and it also has one of the best safety ratings of almost any SUV that you can buy. But unfortunately, the XC90 has been plagued with so many reliability issues that it's just too hard to recommend. It has consistently ranked near the bottom in Consumer Reports' annual reliability study, and the number of complaints from both owners and mechanics has been rather significant, with both the regular version and even the plug-in hybrid. So even though the XC90 seems like a really nice SUV, it's just too hard to recommend from a reliability point of view. And next up, in the number 6 spot, we have the INFINITI QX80. It's hard to believe that the QX80 is still even offered in 2024 because it really is a rather outdated vehicle. It's been around for so many years without any significant changes that it's really fallen behind in many ways. That is aside from the price tag, which is way more than you should be paying. And because the QX80 is so outdated when it comes to its technology, its refinement, and its drivetrain performance, it has one of the lowest owner satisfaction ratings of any comparable SUV. The reliability of this SUV has been okay, which it should be considering how long INFINITI has been making it for, but really, it's not enough to save it, especially given how expensive it is. And because it's such an overpriced and undesirable SUV, it also has terrible resale value to top it off. Hopefully INFINITI finds a way to save itself, but in the meantime, let's move on to the next SUV in the number 5 spot, which is the Cadillac Escalade. It's unfortunate to have to put the Escalade on this list because GM does make some very good full-sized SUVs, including the Chevy Tahoe and the GMC Yukon, which are pretty impressive vehicles. Unfortunately though, there have been a number of significant reliability concerns, including with the engines, the transmissions, and also various electronics, which are even more significant on the Escalade. It seems that because this is a more technology heavy and a more complicated vehicle, the problems just seem to be a lot more significant. So if you really want to go with a full-size GM SUV, you would be a bit safer off going with the GMC Yukon or the Tahoe, which are generally less complicated vehicles. And the Escalade, well, best to avoid that one altogether. And the same is also true of the number 4 SUV on this list, which is the Lincoln Aviator. The Aviator was only introduced to the market a few years ago, but since that time, it's had a rather rocky path when it comes to reliability and quality. Since being introduced, there have been several significant safety recalls, as well as many different issues with the engines, transmissions, and electronics, which have led to a lot of different headaches for owners. Although the Aviator does have a nice design to it, it is a little bit underwhelming when it comes to its performance, and that's especially true of the plug-in hybrid version. Although you do get better performance, the driving range in the electric mode and the fuel economy are a major disappointment. And isn't that the purpose of buying a plug-in hybrid in the first place? And it's not like you're getting great value here either. The Aviator is extremely overpriced for what you're getting, so really, this is just another SUV that you should stay away from. And now moving on to SUV number 3 on the list, we have the Mercedes GLE. Although the GLE certainly does have some nice qualities, including a luxurious interior, a very comfortable ride, and strong performance, unfortunately it has been let down by a very disappointing reputation when it comes to its reliability. The GLE has consistently ranked at the very bottom in a number of different reliability studies. It seems that even though Mercedes keeps introducing a lot of new and impressive tech, the quality is nowhere near where it should be. And even if you're able to get away with a good ownership experience over the first 3 to 4 years under the warranty, once that warranty period expires, that's when the real headaches are going to start. Mercedes, like many other comparable European luxury brands, have had a really rough reputation when it comes to post-warranty reliability and repair costs, which are very significant. So if you're someone who is a long-term buyer and sensitive to expensive repairs, well, this is really not the right vehicle for you, as is the case with the number 2 vehicle on the list, which is the Jaguar F-Pace. Much like Mercedes over the past few years, Jaguar has had a very rough reputation when it comes to its reliability. Their vehicles are known for having all kinds of quality issues, even sometimes during the warranty period, which is pretty disappointing. And the F-Pace is just another example of that, which is why this is another SUV that's best avoided, especially if you're a long-term buyer. But there is one other brand and one other SUV that has consistently been ranked even worse. And of course, that's the number 1 SUV on this list, which is the Land Rover Range Rover. I think it's safe to say when it comes to reliability, there is no other brand or model that has had a worse reputation than the Range Rover. Regardless of the study that you look at or the owners or mechanics that you talk to, Land Rover has consistently been ranked at the very bottom. And even though all their models have been problematic in their own way, the Range Rover is arguably the worst one. Not only are these SUVs known for being a major headache outside the warranty period, with eye-popping repair bills, but they can even be problematic within the first 3 to 4 years. Whether it's engine problems, drivetrain or suspension issues, or electronic problems, all of the different issues that you can have with the Range Rover seem absolutely endless. And of course, every time you take it in for something, anything, you can bet your bank account is not going to be happy. Given how much money they cost, it is natural to have high expectations when purchasing almost any luxury vehicle. And yet, quite a few of them can turn out to be a major disappointment, or just a total headache with endless reliability issues. Of course, there are going to be some owners of these vehicles that have had a positive ownership experience, but these cases are often the exception and not the norm. And ultimately, if you want to reduce the likelihood of having a negative experience, avoiding these models is generally the safest way to go. So let me know what you thought of this video, and if you have any suggestions for any future car videos, just leave a comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can also take a look at my other car videos by clicking these links over here. Make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram. And if you need additional car buying advice or recommendations, make sure to visit carhelpcan.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.